All right, great.
Well. Welcome to another episode of SKST Radio Authors Network, and you are tuned in to Cami Grayson live. Right here, we have an artist by the name of Anthony Mitchell. He's an author and a motivational speaker. Mr. Mitchell, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very honored to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much. Mr. Mitchell, tell me, you got a lot of things going on. You got to achieve your business dreams. You got your book. Tell us about a little bit about your stuff and how you got started.
Sure. I've always loved poetry, first of all. And so poetry was just something that just kind of almost came natural. But in the beginning, I was born with a rare genetic condition that left me without any sweat glands. So, of course, growing up in the summer heat in Texas, a small little town, being outdoors, of course, was something I didn't do a lot of during the
Right.
summer months anyway. So indoors, and so it helped me to cultivate my craft in writing poetry. And as I grew up and growing up, I eventually, coaches started noticing my athletic ability.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of brought me out of my shell, and I was able to be out a little bit more as far as, socializing a lot more because knowing that I had my condition, being a different kid and everything, that almost kind of pulled me back. But I came out more and more with that. I eventually felt that I had a story as I went on through high school and excelled in sports, and eventually always enjoyed school. Went on to college and got my associate's degree in music business. After submitting multiple, not any knowledge of the business, I would submit poems to the record labels. Running my parents' phone bill up very high, calling all over the country.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had no knowledge of it. I just wanted to get my poetry on the radio, my song on the radio. So I did that, and so as that prompted me to eventually go to college. I received a letter I'll never forget from an A&R rep at a record label, and he said, "Well, the first thing you want to do is to get with us, producer, and everything." And of course, that rang the bell, and light went on that I should go on and get some more education and how to
Right.
present your, put your production of your work together and present it to labels and everything. So went on to college, got my associate in music business, promoted a lot of local artists out in Seattle, Washington, where I went to college at, growing up
Okay.
in Diboll, Texas, there, all the way up there. So I did a lot of promoting and managing from a first group I did was a girl group that eventually moved on with someone they were working with, but I helped get them some sort of publicity in the local town there. Eventually, I wanted to focus, and a few other artists after that. Eventually, wanted to focus on building my own projects and things of that nature, and that made me start realizing the gifts that I was given from my poetry to my business background, and knowing my story. I felt I had a unique story, and I felt that I could help someone. So I eventually started writing my book, Living Without Sweat Glands. I never forget, I told a classmate of mine, I'm going to write a book about my story. I really think I can help someone. What are you doing? No one does that but celebrities, athletes, and things of that nature.
Right.
Of course, it did kind of make me think for a minute, but of course, I didn't listen to that. I eventually self-published my book, Living Without Sweat Glands. I rebranded myself with all the gifts that I had and the things that I was doing, and did my No Sweat book, where I show the transition from going into entrepreneurship. And I have my pinned a slogan for myself. We've always been told God gives us everything we need. We just
Mhm.
have to utilize those gifts and cultivate them and things of that. So I said,
Right.
okay, I know I can't sweat. All right, I'm gonna approach my goals and dreams as if they were no sweat, and God willing, and propel myself in my business and personal life. And that's something that just kind of stayed with me. So anything that I encounter in my journey, I would kind of keep that mindset and that focus that I'm going to approach this as if it were no sweat, and I literally mean no sweat.
No sweat.
And
Right.
that, yeah, and that's something that stayed with me. And it's been, God has been good, and I've been able to transition from the different things. But mainly, I want to focus on, and I in between finances, knowing that I needed, I would kind of need some working capital to kind of get my business and my career
Right.
going.
Right.
That's when I eventually started using that time to create all these different things, from my t-shirt line to my greeting cards to my t-shirts, custom designed t-shirts. But I wanted to focus more on my speaking and coaching, and hopefully get one-on-one or group coaching, and being able to speak to those that actually will be able to learn from the gifts that I've learned from the challenges that I had, and be able to use those gifts that they have, and move forward, and
Right.
live the life that they are due.
Yeah. So, Mr. Mitchell, let me ask you. So, I know not having sweat glands was really hard, and looking at some of the reading some of the book. I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy growing up without sweat glands. I mean, how did that affect you mentally? And not even that, but your support system. How did that how were they able to help get you through this?
Well, I grew up in a faith-based home, so I knew that God will get us through anything. Of course, learning and being new to me, it didn't start out like that. Of course, eventually I had to, continue just being. My parents basically just kind of kept me out of the sun. They know I couldn't get too hot.
Hmm.
They did the best they could. It wasn't a lot of information out there at that time,
Right.
so they knew that was one thing they had to do. Of course, I wanted to get out and play with the kids and everything. So, of course, I would apparently a wet towel, and I would wear that wet towel around my neck, and that helped me stay out a little bit longer. But as I got a little older, we had a public pool in my neighborhood, and getting to that public pool, if I didn't have a ride or whatever, I would walk there. And you walk pretty much everywhere in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
growing up, pretty small town. And I would go from shaded area to shaded area. We had trails that helped me. That was something you didn't rarely saw me just walking down the street in with the direct sunlight hitting me. That helped some. It was always something that I had to try to do to kind of keep me as away from the heat as much as I could. Like, I couldn't eliminate it, completely, but that helped me to just get from place to place and working a job. My first job, I'll never forget, a local grocery store, and they weren't going to hire me. The actual employer, I felt only my duty, responsibility, let them know about my sweat glands, and they weren't going to hire me. They didn't hire me in the
Oh,
beginning.
wow.
Fortunately, my dad worked for the company, and they were going to give me a chance, but they said that if there any reason you need to come out of the sun, out of the heat, and until you get yourself together. So starting on the job, you had to wear the full attire, long black pants, collared shirt, a bow tie, and black shoes. And I would walk to the each car pushing the groceries until I got too hot, and going all the way out, coming in, you feel that air, so that gave me a few minutes. But if it was busy, that was only a few seconds. So
Right.
I had to do something else. So when I got too hot, a light bulb went off. I'm in a grocery store.
Wow.
You have coolers and freezers and everything. So I would literally go in the freezers and sit in there for a few minutes or stand in there for a few minutes
Wow.
and in the produce area back there just to keep cool. And then I would go back out. Eventually, one of the managers began to realize that where were you? I, of course, made up a story. I went to the restroom helping a customer and things of that nature. But I did that literally for 3 years. That was
Wow.
how I was able to maintain. I didn't want to, of course, I wanted this to work. I wanted to earn my own income. I grew up in a
Mhm.
household, that was my parents, my dad's thing to us. If you're able to work, you're going to work. If you weren't involved in sports and things that would, prevent that, but the summer months, you were going to work. So I was determined to
Wow.
work and earn my own income, and that's how I did. I stayed with that company for 3 years, and then I went on to another one, which happened to be working in a chicken factory where I was in the freezer all day. So
That
gotta
was
work
perfect.
that out. That was perfect. I loved it. Some of the employees, co-employees, that understand how much I loved it. I had to wear, of course, the clothing to keep cool. I didn't want to get sick, of course,
Right.
but you had to wear 2 or 3 pair of socks and many t-shirts and a full body suit. But I loved it.
I can imagine. I can
Mm.
imagine. So fast forward, and so now, as you continue to grow, did you ever meet anyone that had your rare condition along the way?
Never met anyone growing up all through school. The first time I actually met somebody was actually online. They have the different groups and everything, and they have a group with the condition HED, hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. That's the long medical term,
Hmm.
but HED, and there are multiple ones. That's not just one. But I ran across a young man that was, I believe he was about 21 years old, and it was just amazing to me to talk to him and go over some of the things that he had to deal with growing up, and me sharing my story, he sharing his, and it was man, it was real it was a moment. It was a
Yeah.
moment. But that was the only time. Never in my life did I meet anyone or even knew what my condition was, let alone had it.
Right.
They didn't understand. You mean you don't you what? You don't what? It was a lot of that.
So, have they eventually found any type of medication or anything that can help since then for people with that rare condition?
There's a lot of genetic testing going on, of course, with all the multiple conditions and diseases out there. And this is a rare condition, and there are a lot of rare conditions out there.
Hmm.
But there is no cure. There are a lot of things that can assist you in dealing with it, from cooling jackets, cooling vests, things like that that you can wear on your body, hats, things like that, and clothing, shirts and things. But there's no cure, nothing that you can take that'll, of course, grow you sweat glands or
Right, right.
you know
No, I think about that
anything of that
hot
nature.
flash stuff, the estrogen stuff that they
Oh,
give the women. It's kind of like
oh,
that don't help. So I know if they can't find anything for that, they probably hadn't found anything for what you have.
no, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yeah, I'm sure they're researching and looking into it. I was following a geneticist a while back that they were trying to do something with the embryo before you're actually born, but it was a lot of medical jargon that, but
Mhm.
there was no cure. They're definitely experimented to this date. I don't believe so, but back
Wow.
then, and that was a few years ago.
Wow. So let's fast forward to now. So what are you working on right now? What are the projects that you're working on?
Well, I'm continuing reaching out for speaking engagements, but I'm my Shopify store I have,
Mm.
of course, with my books, my Shopify store where I have my custom designed T-shirts. No Sweat Athlete is one of them. Of course, I have my Halloween T-shirts as well. But
Oh,
that's what I've been working on, opposed to and continuing working on my my other projects with my, because I have a associate degree, as I said, in music business. So I've always been writing some new material for that, but mainly just working on my Shopify store and I have a poetry book that I'm working on as well. That I
Okay.
try to do that in my leisure. But most definitely, just trying to be able to get out there and tell my story and hopefully be able to inspire someone, motivate them to continue on because you have the ability. You just
Right.
gotta approach your goals and dreams as if they were no sweat, and you will
Mhm.
excel in your personal or business life.
That's wonderful. So, Mr. Mitchell, tell people how they can get the book.
Sure, you can go to Amazon. My book, Living Without Sweatgland, recent book, No Sweat. You can get both of my books there, and uh, and you can definitely reach out to me. My email, Anthony Mitchell Speaks 52 at gmail.com. You can definitely reach out to me, and we can get one to you. However, you can definitely go to the Amazon, and you can find them there.
Nice,
And
nice.
Facebook, I'm sorry, my social media platform, Facebook, Anthony Mitchell, author, inspires, and
Oh,
Instagram, Time to Shine 68, and my LinkedIn, Anthony Mitchell, and you can also Twitter, not over for me yet.
not over for me yet. Okay, I like
Yeah,
that. I like that. Well,
thank
Mr. Mitchell,
you.
thank you so much for being on the show. I know we've been trying to get you on for a minute now, so we
I
finally made it
appreciate
happen. I
it.
appreciate your time.
No, I thank you. I appreciate your patience during that delay of the last time. Thank you so much,
Oh
Miss
no,
Grayson.
that's good. That's good. I'm just happy we were able to get you on and, let people know, that they don't have to stop. People are not 100% all the time and people have
Mhm.
obstacles and you have to overcome them. You can't let those obstacles hold you down. And you're a prime example. I mean, look at all the things you achieved and accomplished and you're still going and you're still making it happen. So hats off to you, sir.
Yes, God has been good.
God has
Thank
been good.
you. Thank you. God has been good. I give God all the glory.
Amen. Okay, guys, this wraps up our show for today. Again, thank you, Anthony Mitchell, for being a part of the show today. And you guys get his book. He's on Amazon. He's everywhere. Find his book. If you didn't get any of the links that he mentioned, we'll put them back on our YouTube page under the comments, so that way you can have access to reach Mr. Anthony Mitchell for a speaking engagement. He's trying to get out there and make it happen, and you guys, we need to help him make it do it. All right. Until next
Thank
time, next week, SKST Radio Authors Network. Bye, guys.